1 year ago this week, we reported to you that homeless people in Japan were being recruited to clean up the nuclear disaster at Fukushima. We also heard about the elderly being recruited to help clean up certain areas. And the Japanese government planned on finishing that cleanup back in 2013. Eventually, they pushed that back to 2016. And I just read, Lewis, that for the first time, there was some area, I don't know exactly what area, but there was an area that had been testing positive for radiation as a result of Fukushima ever since the accident, that for the first time has not tested positive, at least not to an extent that would be damaging to humans. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. I know that they have been working diligently at this, but one of the huge problems now is securing a place to store the tons of collected radioactive waste that all these people have been cleaning, because nobody wants to put it anywhere near them.
Right. And I think that this was an incident that for a lot of people did influence their general opinion on nuclear power. And we talk about, I don't like the way in which nuclear power is kind of used as a wedge in the discussion between fossil fuels and alternative energy, because many times it's brought in, and when there's a discussion of fossil fuels, you'll hear people say, hey, if liberals weren't so against nuclear energy, which is actually really safe, we wouldn't have to be on the fossil fuels. And I think it's kind of a red herring, because we have the capacity as a society to be completely on renewables. And remember that nuclear energy is not a renewable source of energy. You can make arguments about safety, you can make arguments about abundance or how long it will last, but it is not renewable. And I find that nuclear energy is being used as a wedge, as a kind of straw man or red herring when it comes to the transition to renewables.
It is. I suppose you could leave it out of the discussion completely. There are countries that power themselves mainly on nuclear power. I mean, I guess I'm still a fan of it, at least more so than coal.
I just don't think we need it. That's the thing. This is where I feel like progressives get mixed up sometimes. I'm not one of the people fear-mongering around nuclear power. In spite of the individual incidents, nuclear power is quite safe. That doesn't mean it's fail-safe. Of course, as we know, it is not. I just don't think it matters, because we could now start a full transition to truly renewable energy. So yes, maybe I would prefer nuclear over coal, but it doesn't really matter that I would prefer that, because we already have the technology to move completely to alternative energy.
We have the ability, we have the technology, but you're not going to convince the people you need to convince that that's what we should do.
No, but along the same lines, you're not going to convince everybody that we should be using nuclear power either.
No, but I think you are more likely to get a nuclear plant than you are a wind farm or a solar farm.
Yeah, and that's quite sad, I would say. That reflects very, very poorly on society. That is This Week in Show History. We have a great program for you today. What an interview coming up, and then 3 great audience questions that we will answer later. Give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/David Pakman Show. We've got behind the scenes pictures, all sorts of great stuff happening on our Facebook page.